If you didn't get a call that says, hey, we need this money from you, you wouldn't have shut off buying.
Correct. And we were able to
that theoretically could be a technicality, right? If you didn't change the trading of that day, you may have had a liquidity issue tomorrow.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's accurate. I think if we didn't act, we very likely could have faced the liquidity issue in the future. So we had to act.
Like, you guys are billed as a firm to retail traders.
Yeah.
And you screwed them over.
Hey, I'm Steven and this is Solving the Money Problem. If you're new, welcome. If you're not, welcome back. So once again, we are discussing the Robinhood GameStop saga. In this video, I'll be playing some highlights from yesterday's discussion between Dave Portnoy and a rather brave Vlad Tenev, Robinhood CEO. I suspect a number of people watching this video won't be regular viewers of the channel and don't give a fuck about my opinion, so I'll save my comments and reactions till the end of the video. Just for the record, I want to be super clear. I have highly edited this video. It's almost a supercut. There are some segments completely cut and removed. I didn't do this to try to manipulate the conversation, but a tiny bit of context may have been lost. So please don't take this as a perfect representation of the conversation. If you'd like to watch that, check out the replay on Periscope. Just wanted to be upfront about that. This was about a 40-minute conversation, which I've condensed to less than half that. So let's get into the video. But first, hey guys, if you'd like to help out the channel and get up to 2 free stocks, check out the link in the description to WeBull. If you open a new account, you'll get 1 free stock valued up to $250 just for opening an account. And if you fund your account with $100, you'll get a second free stock valued up to $1,600. Unless you don't like free stocks, that is. And if you're in Australia, the UK or New Zealand, you can get a free stock with stake also using the link in the description. Let's get back to it.
We're going to have Vlad Tenev, CEO of Robinhood, and we all know how I feel about him. I think he's a rat and a liar. He's played along in this little game on social media. He tweeted at me, and he's coming on. And I will say I respect when people come on. Okay, Vlad, you know everybody here is watching this hates your guts, right?
That's what I hear. But look, I'm glad to be on your show, and hopefully we can get into it and answer a lot of these questions.
I put in money on the day that you stopped the trading. A lot of people did. And then we find out, first time we hear from you on CNBC. And you very clearly say it's not a liquidity issue. And then as things continue, it seems to be a liquidity issue.
It sounds to me, though, that you're suggesting that there was a liquidity problem inside the firm. And my question about that then raises all sorts of new questions about whether there's a systemic issue underneath the system and underneath the company unto itself.
No, there was no liquidity problem. And to be clear, this was done preemptively. CC, they gave us a violent deposit and raised, a little bit around 2.
Okay, so that's the first. To me, that seems like a clear 180. Do you not view that as a 180? And what is the real answer?
I don't, and let me explain why. I think boiling it down to a liquidity issue both oversells it and undersells it in a way simultaneously. It undersells it because this is really more of a systemic issue, right? Every broker, most brokers restricted trading in these stocks to some degree or another, ranging from increasing the margin that you had to use, increasing the margin requirements, all the way through to marking the stocks themselves position closing only. So this actually showed a deep systemic vulnerability in the financial system. It wasn't just a Robinhood unique issue. Robinhood was getting the disproportionate amount of the growth, and a lot of the activity was happening on our platform. So certainly we were a part of it. But I think just chalking it up
so
to
if you had $3 billion sitting in the bank, would you have still acted the same way?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. I think it's hard for me to speculate what would have happened if we had $3 billion or $10 billion in the bank.
I think it's so much talking this gets people frustrated, even when you go back and forth. If you don't get a call at 3 a.m, do you regulate trading?
No, we did this because we had to comply with our capital requirements.
But you found that out at like 3 a.m.
If we had a bunch more headroom, yes, we probably would have let things continue. And look,
well, if you didn't get a call that says, hey, we need this money from you, you wouldn't have shut off buying.
Correct. I mean, the last thing we would want to do is shut up buying. Like Robinhood.
But that is a capital issue. They specifically said a liquidity issue. You need this much money. You didn't have it, so you acted. Isn't that the essence of liquidity? Like, are you afraid to say liquidity because that creates like a domino effect with the banks?
I think that liquidity issue, and I probably should be careful and call it the L word, right? The L word is a big thing in financial services. Liquidity issue means you can't meet your capital requirements or your deposit requirements and you're essentially dead. That was not the case with Robinhood. We met our capital requirements, we met our deposit requirements, and we were able to
that theoretically could be a technicality, right? If you didn't change the trading of that day, you may have had a liquidity issue tomorrow.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's accurate. I think if we didn't act, we very likely could have faced the liquidity issue in the future. So we had to act. And that's why I said we had to act to protect the firm and our customers, because if the firm can't, if the firm can't continue to serve our customers, that's a much worse situation. So it's, keeping
why didn't you say that clearly? Like, obviously you met that first requirement, but if you didn't stop the trading of a way, and that leads to the next question, which I'm sure you know is coming, and I've heard your answer to it, and I don't think it jives with anybody, but a liquidity issue was knocking on the door.
Yeah, we had to act to make sure we prevented a liquidity issue in the future.
And when we say future, like the next day.
Yeah, potentially, yeah.
Okay, so to me, that is very much a liquidity issue. It also, the fact that it seemed like you were clear, like, oh, how can you say it's liquidity? And then you were mentioning the capital. Everyone's like, what is this guy talking about? Also,
well, I think what you're saying is fair, right? And I'll take it. I was kind of running on fumes on Thursday, like trying to raise the $3.4 billion so that we could unrestrict the stocks. We were dealing with the growth and making sure our systems were reliable, which was our previous problem. So there's a lot going on, and I'll take the feedback that I could have been a little bit more clear in the short form interviews.
Robinhood, clearly, they're marketing everything about them. We're democratizing trading. We're for the retail trader, all that. That's the branding of Robinhood, and it clearly worked. So knowing that, when you force people to sell, you only allow them to sell, but they can't buy. You cratered the stock. Like, that was the decision that cratered the stock. And I saw your quote. People get pissed off if they're holding stock and they can't sell it, which I guess is true. But I guarantee you, if you polled your customer base and said, listen, we're going to just freeze it. Like when the market is tumultuous, they freeze stocks. You can't buy or sell. It's just frozen at that value. And you have your client base all buying it, they would have rather said, freeze it. We want to be able to just figure out what your issues are, liquidity, whatever they may be, figure it out, and then turn it back on and let me buy and sell. But you, and when I say you, Robinhood, manipulated that stock price. You cratered it. And a lot of these people out there, everyday traders who have jobs and normal people, if you weren't watching the stock market and you blinked for 20 minutes, you could sell it, but you lost like 70, 80% of the value. So how do you rationalize not freezing it? I think that's the number one thing I get. Why didn't you just freeze it instead of do one? And basically, you cratered the market.
Well, first of all, let me say that we're speculating now, right? Saying like what would have happened if Robinhood did something different. It's kind of in the realm of speculation. I understand, by the way, I get that people are frustrated.
There's no speculation that when you only allow somebody to sell a stock and not buy it, you crater. That's not speculation.
It actually wouldn't help the deposit requirements to restrict selling in this case. So, I mean, if we're managing risk, it doesn't help you to restrict selling as well. If
you froze both, you're saying that wouldn't have gotten you out of, couldn't you have raised money? That's not like a normal thing.
Restricting selling wouldn't help the exponential growth in the deposit requirements. And you have the situation, as bad as this was for customers, you'll have other customers who are like, I wanted to sell my stock. Why aren't you letting me sell my stock?
Well, but that's the part I don't buy with. Like, if a stock is volatile, just any stock, the stock market freezes it. You can't buy or sell for a period of time till it kind of stable. That seems
those are exchange halts, which happen for very different reasons.
But no one ever complains in that case, hey, I couldn't sell it. Like, so there is some present, like, again, if you tell me, hey, I can't sell my stock for 6 hours, but when you turn it back on, it's still going to be at the same price, or Robinhood's going to crater it, I can sell it at 20% of what I had. That's essentially what happened. And going back and forth, I'm a little lost. I still don't feel like I got a straight answer why you didn't do both, except you're saying it's standard procedure.
Because the VAR charge, which drives our deposit requirements, was driven by the size of the long position. So if the long position kept growing, or
right, so you freeze it, and you freeze it, and it doesn't go up anymore. You freeze both,
and then you get people that can't sell their long positions and are extremely upset.
Your customers, though, are all buying it. How many people are trying to sell it at this point?
Well, I mean, that's another misconception. If you look back at retail data, and there were CNBC reported on this at the beginning of that week, actually Monday through Wednesday, retail customers were actually net sellers of these stocks, right? So yeah, some people were buying, but they were largely buying from other retail customers. So there were a lot of retail were selling just as well.
You're sitting here and saying to me that more people are trying to sell GameStop and AMC than buy.
What I'm saying is, if you look at retail trading Monday through Wednesday, according to CNBC, and they have the data from all the market makers who collect it, retail were net sellers of these stocks Monday through Wednesday.
So who was buying it?
Institution, apparently.
This seems wildly inaccurate. Like one of those things that I don't have facts, but I just can't believe that that's true. I just absolutely cannot believe that the retail, this was a viral internet sensation that was going up. Like you had, Tom, Dick, and Harry walking down the street who never trade stocks, joining Robinhood to buy these stocks. When you froze buying, and I believe once you did that, it cratered the stock, the hedge funds and the institutions could still trade. So they're looking at what Robinhood did and like, well, there's only one thing that can happen here. This stock's going down, whether it be covering a short, whether it be doing the people who on Wall Street, the suits, it's like we just sat there and we have the green hammer. We just take it in the head with nothing to do. And the guy, the firm that's supposed to have our back is essentially the one who put us in this mess.
Again, I'll just say the last thing I want to do is create this problem for our customers where they want to buy something and they can't. I'm going to do everything I can to make sure we don't see this happen again.
Is this something in hindsight you should have seen coming?
Well, it was tough, right? We were seeing something happening, obviously, with everything going on in Reddit. That's why we increased the margin requirements at 100%. But I think something going viral, this is kind of the first case something going viral on social media has transplanted over to the financial system. So you saw exponential growth in the financial system. And the thing with exponential growth is it feels very slow until like all of a sudden it just goes haywire. So you've heard me say it's a 5 sigma event. A 5 sigma event, and this isn't Robinhood data, it's industry data, means it happens 1 week out of every 3.5 million weeks. So nobody really models for that. And I think we're going to model for that now. Like it's part of our risk management procedures and our standard operating procedures. But a 1 in 3.5 million event basically means it should never happen. Like there hasn't been that many weeks in the history of the market. It was stressful, right? Working through this issue, definitely stressful. And our deposit requirement for Robinhood securities went up tenfold in 2 days. So between Monday and Wednesday, it went up tenfold. I'm proud of the way the team handled the crisis by and large. We were able to protect the firm. We were able to prevent customers from having a bigger issue.
Can you, that's the part, how can you, in that line you just said, like proud of how we handled it, how can that be possible? Like you guys are billed as a firm to retail traders,
yeah,
and you screwed them over. I mean, so how you protected the firm, That's what you did. And that's what it seems every decision was made to protect Robinhood. But everything that you built up as this image of catering, I mean, you literally, if you really want to protect the firm and protect the customers, you wouldn't have stopped buying. That decision basically had to crater the price and left a ton of your customers holding the bag.
I understand how you feel that way and how customers might feel that way, but I think we have to also protect, customers buying meme stocks rests on a foundation of our business being able to operate, which rests on a foundation of the financial system working, right? If things had gone a particular way, we could have had a much bigger systemic crisis.
Robinhood is the company and the system that has proactively marketed themselves a very specific way to a very specific clientele and then turn their back on that clientele. So
I completely agree, but we also have to play by the rules.
From an outsider perspective, and somebody who's like, it's always the suits sticking it to the little guy. It's always the hedge funds sticking it to the little guy. The overwhelming feeling I had, and a lot of traders have, is for the first time in a long time, the little guy, whether it be, Roaring Kitty or whoever it may be, we had the upper hand. We're making money and the shorts are getting killed. And suddenly somebody pressed the pause. It's like we're winning. It's the fourth quarter. The Harlem Globetrotters are finally going to lose to the Washington Generals. And then the rules change. And it seemed the people who changed the rules were you guys. And when you look at it, the relationship you guys have with the Citadel and Melvin Capital, anybody with logic would be like, something happened here. Whether Vlad was leaned on, whether calls were placed, because billionaires were about to lose their firm unless this happened. There's no proof of it, but anybody looking at the way Wall Street works over the history of time would be like, this doesn't smell good.
I actually think, I'm glad you brought it up because that's what I was out there predominantly trying to address on Thursday. There's no collusion between Robinhood and any hedge fund or any market maker. We have no relationship with Melvin Capital. I never even heard of them until Monday. Citadel Execution Services, which is different than Citadel, the hedge fund, executes our orders. And I think you saw both Ken Griffin and myself in the congressional hearing state unequivocally that this was they had nothing to do with this decision. So I actually think for perpetuating that misinformation of collusion, you were wrong to do that. And I think it was irresponsible. And I'm sorry to say it, but
no, you don't have to be sorry. But the facts are, if there was collusion or there was something going on, I certainly wouldn't expect people to admit it readily. So, I've heard people be like, no, we didn't do anything. Well, I don't think anybody's ever been convicted of a crime the first time. Like, you did it. They're like, yeah, I did. So, so he said, she said, there's no proof of it.
Well, I think it's a big claim. We're in a super highly regulated industry, right? And if you think about it from my perspective,
what does that mean, super regulated? Super regulated. There's been all sorts of scandals on Wall Street.
That's true. Yeah. And my business is all about giving the little guy access to trade, right? So why would I hurt my own business? And,
that's one of the great questions I asked, because if I sat and I look back, I said, geez, when Vlad said we're not going to let people buy, but we're going to force them to sell, he has to know he is ruining his brand's reputation. So there has to be a reason, it has to be a big one, why he's willing to tank what he's built.
We wouldn't have done this unless we actually had to for risk management and to prevent a larger problem.
You did something and gave a huge advantage to the big guy that is the exact opposite of helping the little guy. You killed the little guy. Robinhood's future. I'm on the record. I don't think he can come back from this. Because as a trader, I think if push comes to shove and there's another major incident, you're not going to have my back. You clearly, in this past case, customer wasn't one. Robinhood Vlad was one. Customer, I don't know, was 8.
Well, I think we can debate that a little bit, right? If Robinhood ceases to exist, our customers would be in a much worse spot than if we didn't. So we did believe that by protecting the firm and protecting the system, ultimately we had to do the best thing. That was the best thing for customers. So hopefully you understand my perspective on that one, right?
We'll see what happens in the future.
I hope you appreciate I wore this hat because you made fun of my haircut.
Vlad, your hair, it looks normal here, It looked like you scalped somebody, you took a wig and put it on. I mean, it was a ridiculous look.
I'll take it.
So I appreciate it, Vlad. I'm not going to say good luck because I'm not wishing you good luck, but I appreciate you coming on.
Wow, where to even begin? First of all, let's give some credit to Vlad there for having the kahunas to actually speak to Dave Portnoy, who is known to be fairly confrontational, assertive, direct, and impolite. Now, I do believe that Vlad is trying his best to front the media to try to explain what's going on. And also believe that Vlad has probably had some legal counsel and been told, hey dude, you're not allowed to say certain words, don't say sorry, don't say we made a mistake because that could cause you liability in future lawsuits, of which there will be many. And I'm trying to be fair, reasonable, and rational when actually looking at this conversation. I personally think that Dave is a little bit too emotional about this. Now, I'm always somebody to give the benefit of the doubt to the other party. Unless I have evidence, I will always assume innocent until proven guilty. And in this case, there's very few points I think that Vlad actually raised where I really disagree. One of which was when Dave said that the fact that Robinhood halted purchasing of GameStop stock directly caused the stock to crater. Duh. Now, of course, Vlad can say, yeah, look, that's speculation. We can't definitely know what would have happened. Get fucked, mate. Let's be honest about it. I'm sure you're acting on advice from legal counsel and can't actually directly admit that, but nobody who understands how the stock market works can argue the fact that Robinhood, the biggest retail brokerage, putting a freeze on the purchase of a stock and only allowing its sale directly caused the price of GameStop stock to crater. Now, we can debate and discuss this till the cows come home. You can certainly say, well, anything could have happened, could be a total coincidence. I'm not buying it. But I think Vlad's hands are tied. If he does admit that that was a direct result, well, it's probably not going to look good for Robinhood. What really irks me is the fact that Vlad isn't out there just being honest. I'll tell you this for a fact. If Elon Musk was the CEO of Robinhood and this happened, he would have been completely honest. Some of the shareholders would have been extremely pissed. Many of the board members would be hating on him, but that's the kind of guy Elon is. He will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, even to the detriment of his company, his reputation. It doesn't matter. We've heard Elon Musk, for example, many times say that he believes Tesla's stock price is too high. As a result, the stock craters. Short-sighted shareholders get butthurt, pissed off, angry, hate on Elon, even sell out of their positions. Nice one, dumbasses, etc. But that's the kind of guy he is. Vlad just doesn't seem to have that personality. He doesn't have the kahunas to just come out and say, look, we totally screwed up. Yes, no doubt the fact that we stopped people purchasing GameStop stock caused negative pressure on the price of the stock. Yes, we fucked over many of our customers. We're sorry, we made a mistake. Really wish we'd hear this from Vlad. Unfortunately, not to be seen. So look, if we want to be super technical, then sure. Speculating about what may or may not have happened to the price of GameStop stock, depending on whether or not Robinhood had restricted buying, selling, or any other combination thereof, it's pure speculation. But it's the same kind of speculation that's based on highly informed, extremely logical, rational, obvious observation. The same kind of speculation that leads us to believe that the universe began with a big bang around 14 billion years ago. We can't know for sure, but we have a pretty fucking good idea based on all the available evidence. The next point I want to touch on is the topic of whether or not there was collusion, something behind the scenes. Maybe Vlad got a tap on the shoulder, a phone call, something along those lines. As I mentioned, I like to give people the benefit of the doubt and actually side with Vlad on this. I don't think it's very responsible of anyone, whether it's Dave or anybody else, shout out to Chamath also, who got a little bit hot-headed about this whole topic before realizing he overreacted. I don't think it's fair to propagate this potential misinformation. Now, I admit, it is not a good look at all. In fact, it is a really, really bad look. What could have happened behind the scenes? Who knows? But spreading misinformation without certainty, it's terrible. It's like spreading rumors about a person when you heard something secondhand or didn't see it for yourself. You know the kind of people that do that? Low-value human beings. It's just a terrible thing to do. It's almost a form of non-physical violence where somebody's unable to defend themselves. You can do reputational damage that's irreversible, whether or not what you said is true. I'm a pretty black and white guy, and if I see a single example of somebody ever prematurely, inaccurately, and negatively judging somebody, their character, or their intentions without sufficient information to make that judgment, they immediately revoke the right to ever interact with me again. Literally. I know that's pretty harsh, but it's the way it is. If I see somebody misjudge without sufficient information, you're gone. To me, there is no coming back from that. There's no problem saying this is a possibility, this may have happened. But it is a problem when you're spreading lies, misinformation, or trying to tarnish somebody's reputation or judging them negatively when you don't know the facts. And now I know it's easy. Everyone wants to pile onto Vlad, pile onto Robinhood, hate. But you've got to see things from their perspective as well. It's not a good look, but that doesn't mean there was collusion. And we'll probably never know if there was. And that segues beautifully into the next point. We'll never know if there was or wasn't any collusion behind the scenes, but we can state unequivocally that Robinhood fucked their users over, big time. And when I say Robinhood fucked their users over, I mean they really fucked them over, absolutely reamed. So many new users joining the platform specifically to buy GameStop stock. By the way, I personally wouldn't have done that. It's pretty insane, but hey, you do you. But the fact of the matter is, Robinhood gives the appearance of being an open trading platform. You can buy and sell whatever securities you would like, no problems. They don't exactly make an upfront statement, hey guys, sometimes we might restrict your ability to buy and or sell securities, so don't be surprised if we bend you over and fuck you in the ass sometimes. And yes, I did just say that. That's why you guys love me, right? You're not going to hear those kind of comments from Graham, Kevin, Jeremy, or Andre, are you? By the way, not hating. I really respect those guys. Just calling a spade a spade. Anyway, the point I'm making here, there is no argument. Robinhood completely screwed over their users. But, and this is an important but, they had no choice. It was literally put a halt on buying GameStop stock or go out of business, which is obviously a suboptimal outcome for all of your users. I think Dave was a little bit unfair in this regard, trying to suggest that Robinhood, they're really there to support the retail investor. That's totally true. But they were in a situation where they had no other choice. It's like literally, do you want the whole company to go bankrupt, everybody to lose all their deposits, then spend years, maybe decades trying to recover their lost funds because Robinhood's out of business? Or do you want Robinhood to gently ream you from behind? At least you still have your stocks with them when this whole thing blows over. It was a lesser of two evils. And I really think we need to acknowledge this. Robinhood screwed their users over, but that was their only option. Not an ideal outcome, but there was no other choice. Now we could argue this point for days and say, why didn't they have more capital? Why didn't they think about this? Why didn't they model for these kind of risks? That is a whole separate conversation. Maybe we can judge Robinhood very harshly for not anticipating this kind of outcome, but Dave had a great suggestion there. Why didn't Robinhood consider halting trading completely on GameStop stock? Vlad tried to sort of suggest, well, we didn't need to stop people being able to sell. We know that, Vlad. But when you think about it from the customer's perspective, as Dave rightly pointed out, if trading was completely halted on the stock, it wouldn't likely have created in terms of price. When trading resumed, after Robinhood had raised that $3.4 billion and had more liquidity, had met their deposit requirements, etc., the stock would have resumed trading where it was and people would have been free to make their own choices to buy or sell without the stock having created 70, 80+%. This is a really great question. I think Robinhood made a major error of judgment here. Now, I totally acknowledge if you restrict people from selling a security, it's just as bad, if not worse, than restricting them from buying the security. But when you weigh this up, think about the collateral damage, what's going to happen. It doesn't look very good. Effectively, as Dave pointed out, the fact that Robinhood halted the purchasing of GameStop stock created the price and allowed the big funds to exit their positions without an enormous bloodbath. Really bad look. I think Robinhood made a very poor decision here, but as I mentioned earlier, their hand was forced. They had no choice but to do something. The question is, did Robinhood do the right thing? So let me know in the comments below, guys. What do you think Robinhood should have done? Out of the two options, halt people's ability to buy GameStop stock or halt all trading on the stock until they can get that liquidity and then resume trading where it was. Let me know in the comments below. I'm Stephen Mark Ryan. This is Solving the Money Problem, and I love you all. And don't forget, if you'd like to help out the channel and get up to 2 free stocks, check out the link in the description to WeBull. If you open a new account, you'll get 1 free stock valued up to $250 just for opening an account. And if you fund your account with $100, you'll get a second free stock valued up to $1,600. And if you're in Australia, the UK or New Zealand, you can get a free stock with stake also using the link in the description. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And of course, if you have any ideas for future videos, let me know. I read all your comments. P.S. If you're still watching, you're awesome. If you'd like early access, exclusive videos, regular Q&As, our private Discord server and more, consider supporting the channel at patreon.com/solvingthemoneyproblem so I can keep creating content for you guys. There's a link in the description. You can now also become a member of the channel for some exclusive perks. To learn more, click the join button next to subscribe. And don't forget to check out our merch store. Either way, the best form of support is you being here and watching, so thanks again.